market. It's very personal to me. I saw Pulte Homes almost go into bankruptcy in '08. And that's what I view my job as doing every day. And to your other point, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat. We will look at everything. And we are looking at Republicans, Democrats, you name it. If you commit mortgage fraud in this country, and with the resources that we have, we're trying to do as good of a job as we can.
That we will be waiting for this. I guess, Bill, and given what we saw in the prior administration, and I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but certainly we saw the president talk about the overrun in costs for the new Fed building. We know what his comments are about Jay Powell. So we've had all these precedents for being, going after the Fed, trying, because the president wants lower interest rates, obviously. And it's just when this came about, after you can see how people would connect the dots to make it look like, the Fed or Lisa Cook is just being targeted as part of the continuing.
Being targeted is going after the president and changing the statute of limitations and doing what they did in New York.
Oh, no, I agree.
This is within the statute of limit. Hold on. This is within this. You guys, you keep talking over me. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
The situation here is within the statute of limitations. I am an independent regulator responsible for mortgages. I believe there was mortgage fraud. I have a duty to report it. I mean, Andrew and Joe, would you want me as the mortgage regulator to see mortgage fraud from one of the most sophisticated economists in the entire world who's responsible for managing banks and monetary policy and not report that?
I'm not suggesting you shouldn't report it. I just think there's a question mark in the public about how all this came about, as well as the merits itself, obviously, of why she hasn't defended herself. And it's a question we continue to ask. I have a slightly different question.
She hasn't, and Jay Powell hasn't come out either.
Well, that's where I was going to go next, which is, what is your view of Jay Powell in this situation? He obviously didn't fire her on his own. He is, interestingly, Lisa Cook has now sued not just the president, but interestingly, Jay Powell personally and the Fed board.
I don't know, but I'll tell you, I think by the day he's creating cause. Whether the president does something about that or not, I don't know. But
cause, you think that the president should fire him for cause for?
I would just say to you that it is very abnormal that you have this type of conduct of a sitting governor. They still have her on the website. As far as I'm concerned, she still thinks that she.
Hi, and welcome again to another edition of the daily U.S. pre-market analysis. I'm Gio Benacourt. So let me get started with the disclaimer. The information, context, opinions which are expressed in the presentation and on the following slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage, and are solely used for educational purposes, as they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how clients should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. All right, your host, I'm Gio Benacourt, a senior VIP market analyst, market educator, and demonstrator of strategies with Vantage, bringing over 20 years of experience as a commodity trader, and I hold a Series 3 license and also a CMT candidate. The agenda, economic calendar, we'll be looking at the calendar, what's moving the markets, identifying key levels of support and resistance, and looking for some trading opportunities with the Fibonacci tools. About Vantage, what we offer over 1,000 instruments, over 100 sharp patterns, over 100 plus technical indicators and drawing tools, and offer CFDs on forex indices, shares, commodities, and cryptocurrencies. What we stand for: lightning fast execution, award-winning 24-hour support, intuitive tools, global connectivity, strict regulation. I'd like to begin by sharing with you how we need to identify clear, consistent trading habits. We want to be comfortable with the prospect of losing money if the market goes against us. I'd like to emphasize risk management and the use of percentages rather than dollar value. For example, on a $10,000 account, if you risk 1%, it'll be $100 between 1%, 2%, $100 or $200. And if you're looking for a win ratio of 1 to 3 or 1 to 2, meaning that if you risk 100 and you're looking to make 300, and if you don't overtrade, you will most likely be up on your tradings. All right. Also, volatility can spike and spreads can widen, so reducing leverage is a good idea. The use of stop loss is highly recommended, and obviously, what we want to be able to look for is identifying trends, timing entry and exit points, risk management, confirmation, and validation. All right. So, what is technical analysis? I think it's important that we share a common vocabulary for what is technical analysis. So let's dive right there real quick. Is it just a form of data visualization? Obviously, charts, charting, displaying market data in lots of different data visualization modes is a big part of where technical analysis came from. But you got to go back hundreds of years to the rice pits of Osaka for a gentleman named Munisa Homa, who invented the Japanese candlesticks as a way to try to capture all of the behavior of traders in those rice pits. We've, of course, advanced the discipline over hundreds of years, and there are lots of different chart types. But what I'm going to argue to you now is that technical analysis is far more than just collecting data and displaying it in a way that we can interpret a lot of information quickly. This is part of it. But if you look at definition from some of the very early texts from the 1920s, 1930s, guys like Edwards and McGee said technical analysis is about the study of the market itself, all of that price action, all of the investor behavior, everything that's happening in an open, freely traded market is part of our discipline. And I love that definition because it is quite broad, and hopefully today's session we'll understand just how broad and the depth of study you'll go through. We also know that technical analysis is a study of that supply and demand relationship. And we care a lot about the behavior and the psychology of investors. And it's one of the hardest things to quantify when you're thinking about investment decisions. I'll argue that it's all represented in this beautiful little element called price. And the last definition I'm going to pick on is a widely cited author, Perry Kaufman, who says it's a systematic evaluation. And systems, reason I bring this quote up is that a lot of us have heard about algorithmic trading, high frequency. You might be an advanced programmer, you might know Python or R or many other languages, and that is an important way to express some of the ideas. But even if you're not a coder, you're not an algo trader, you should be thinking in terms of systems, a rules-based, repeatable approach. And that's something that was joining to me as I went through the program, and the last 20 years that I have spent surrounded by some of the best money managers in the business, is that they have a defined, repeatable process or a system that they follow no matter what the market is doing. All right. So I'm going to make a quick refresher of your Economy 101 class. Remember, at a fixed rate of supply, an increase in demand is going to move us up the price equilibrium, or a decrease in demand will move price down the equilibrium. So when we're thinking about an open, freely traded market, demand, we have investors, is inherently pushing prices up, and fear or selling pressure is going to push price down because it's a fixed supply. I want you to hold that thought in your mind because it is perhaps one of the most important parts of the magic that we're trying to unlock here, or the message of the market that we're trying to decode. which is related to the learning that if you take emotion, the would be or the could be or the should be out of your decision making, and if you look at just what is happening and you can quantify that, you have a big advantage over most human beings. I would argue for all of us in the investment discipline, there's a lot of emotion tied to those trading decisions that we make each and every day, and those emotional impacts on our decision making can be very negative. So the more you can remove your emotional and cognitive bias from your decision making, the better chance you have of staying on the right side of trends. Now, with that, I'm gonna stop here my share screen. I'm gonna start sharing my charts so we can take a look and analyzing the markets for today. Welcome Talib, welcome Jaden, welcome Eno. So let me just share my charts with you. You should be seeing my charts now. In front of us we have the NASDAQ, and we're going to be talking about 12 assets today. The NASDAQ, the S&P, Dow, crude oil, WTI, nat gas, gold, silver, copper, Bitcoin, Euro USD, Pound USD, and the dollar index. These are the 12 assets that I follow on a daily basis and that I talk about. And we're going to be looking at opportunities in trading these assets. All right. So, as a system that I use or that we should all use, obviously we want to be able to come in and take a look at the overall direction of the market. And on a monthly basis, we can identify that the market is in an uptrend long term, right? And that the markets, they do commit corrections when they make all-time highs. Last month, the NASDAQ made an all-time high of 24,067. And from that particular high, if you multiply 10% from that minus that value, it will give you somewhere around 21,600 and change. So that's somewhere around here. So the yesterday's market fluctuation, I was actually in the positive side. We saw that the market did continue its ride to the upside. It was basically the Nasdaq was helped by the courts helping Alphabet or Google to keep their Chrome browser, and that was a positive for the market, and we saw that rally peaking its head above 23,500, but quickly retreated and closing below that. Today, the market has continued also that trajectory. It did penetrate that 23,500. It hasn't closed above it, so it didn't break it. So therefore, we're gonna use the same levels of resistance that we had from yesterday. Direction of the market continue to push higher. Now, the economic calendar that we are coming in for today is basically null. So we have the ISM services coming in about 50 minutes, and today is going to be the big number, non-farm payrolls. Now, in regards to the non-farm payrolls, there's also a data that came out today. It's called the ADP jobs number in the United States, and that came below consensus. So tomorrow, obviously, that the non-farm payrolls data will help the Fed make the decision whether they will cut rates or not come next week. Actually, September 17th, 16th, 17th, it's going to be that decision. So the markets are pricing in a rate cut as things begin to progress in the in what is obviously what the Fed is looking to do. But the Fed Reserve's role is frequently summed up as taking away the punch bowl just as the party gets going. Right now, it's the opposite. The Fed probably needs to add more punch, but it's not clear how much. So there are plenty of economic warning signs. For example, yesterday, the Facebook, which compiles anecdotal reports from its 12 regional banks, showed little or no change in activity across a majority of districts and warned of wages falling to keep up with price rises. So consumer sentiment is down, and even if spending is holding up for now, hiring data suggests a slowing labor market ahead of tomorrow's career jobs report for August. And obviously, that will be something that the Fed wants to see. So the market is pricing in Fed action. Now, there's a 98% probability of a quarter point rate cut this month, and that's higher. That's bringing gold prices higher, and obviously another indication. And now that's boosted by rate reduction expectations sinking the dollar. So we see in one side the dollar index sinking, and obviously we see that yesterday we saw gold making another all-time high. So again, well, there's consensus around the need for rate cuts. What's contentious is how far the cutting needs to go. So we have the front runner for replacement of the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, as Christopher Waller, who's energetically making the case for multiple cuts over the next 6 months. So the indices, the stock market, they like cuts. So if that's the case, okay, is the rhetoric is around the market looking to push, bring the market higher, make cuts, we should see a continuation to this rally to the upside on the indices. So I'm looking for entry longs for the Nasdaq. I'm going to actually come here and do a tie up on my levels of support. I'm going to use 23,300 ish as my first level of support, and then just 100 points below that, psychological values in reality. Now, today, since the market has penetrated that level of resistance, I'm going to just use today's swing high as a probable level of resistance for the Nasdaq. Going looking to buy the S&P 500. Okay. Again, I'm going to bring up the second level of support, and I'm going to make a tighter range for the S&P 6440 initially, and I'm going to make yesterday's swing low my second level of support. Resistance level, I'm going to leave the same that I have. Second target, ultimate target by the end of the day, looking at 6500 as the market continues to show us momentum to the upside. We are in a second day so far, an uptrend, intermediate uptrend, but long term we are an uptrend. Dow had a more of a sluggish push to the downside yesterday. Today we did open a gap down. It has been closed. So if we fluctuate to the upside, it has been closed, and the range really just is within yesterday's. So I'm going to speculate that we might see another lower leg for the Dow. So I'm going to use 45,500 and 45,400 as my levels of support. My first level of support, I'm going to bring it up to 45,200 and then leave that second level as is. So initially the market did push higher. It is retracing so far now. Let's see how it will behave when the bell rings in about 15 minutes. A speculation to the downside for the Dow. All right, so we have here crude oil. So crude oil yesterday, after making a nice swing to the upside, it has been retreating. It has been pushing lower. So these levels of resistance are no longer applicable. So $65 as a value, psychological value, is going to be my first level of resistance, and I'm going to look towards my left and see how many candles, how many swing lows, and how many candles can I cross at a level that makes sense to me. And around this level, it makes sense to me. I'm not too close to the market. I'm not too far away from the market. Then we have here the fluctuation to the downside for today. So support $63 psychological is given because of psychological value, and 50-cent move as a range to the downside. So 62.5 and $63. So going with the direction, going with the trend, yesterday's trade was a good one that we have here. Let me delete that one. So Let's take a look at nat gas and see where we're gonna be going towards the market. Are we gonna be looking to sell? Well, nat gas is giving us a direction to the upside, so we could just basically well come and look for another attempt to the upside on nat gas. Then I'm going to bring up my level to yesterday's swing high right around 290. So let's keep that in check. So looking for nat gas to for go long, and then we have here the we have our gold here. So let's see how much more of this can we come in and speculate that the market will continue to move higher. I mean, it did fluctuate lower and it hit a level of support. So we basically within yesterday's range. Again, 3600 is a target. Can that be hit today? Perhaps, perhaps it will be. Silver is being bullish as well. Yesterday that fluctuation to the upside, so therefore I'm gonna just leave that as my first level of resistance. And 4180, I'm gonna bring down to today's swing low, and I'm gonna use a previous day's swing low here. So that's our levels. Looking for
Hello,
trade.
hello.
Yes, hello. All right, so we have here our second level of support, and then let's just use this level here. As far as resistance goes, I'm going to leave that swing high from yesterday and bring it down 455-ish. So there we go. So copper today giving us a little bit of a move to the downside. Looking for a reversal recovery on copper as well as the other metals. So looking to go long. Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. So we have here Bitcoin. Let's use yesterday's swing high. It's retracing. How much more of a retracement can we expect? Well, let's see if it'll be able to revisit the opening or yesterday's open, close, and continue to move to the upside. Let's take a look at the euro. All right, so the euro 116,200, and yesterday's swing, I'm gonna use 116 as my possible level of support. Psychological values. Then we have the pound. So the pound, I'm looking for 134 initial value for support. And then we're gonna be here looking at yesterday's swing low, even 135 as our target. US dollar index looking to recover from yesterday's swing low. So I'm gonna actually just psychologically $98, which it has rebounded off of. Alright, so here we have our identifier levels of resistance and support. Now let's break it down to a minute, an hour chart to just have an idea or have a sense of what the market has been doing, okay, intraday. And it's been on a downtrend, 4 hours consecutively to the downside. So making sense, we should come and speculate that the market, as it opens, if it was open right now, it'll be opening to the downside. But it could be recovering, so looking to make another swing high here. So let's take a look at the S&P 500. Pushing higher. Yep. Let's see. All right, so the Dow is basically just in range, it's consolidating. Crude oil on this hour after making a swing low is retracing. Could $63 be rejecting? Is it being rejected by the market? So therefore, looking to for buyers, that could be the case. Nat gas, it has a strong candle to the upside in this hour. So fluctuation to the swing high could be contemplated. Then we have here in this hour gold looking to make a continuation of this intraday trend to the upside. I'm looking for entries longs for gold. So I'm gonna be looking for 3600 as the marker. Not today. I don't think today we'll hit that, but you never know. But tomorrow, depending on the CPI number, on the non-farm payroll numbers coming out, we could probably see that. So between today and tomorrow, 3600 is the target for gold. But initially, I'm looking for an entry long for gold, target 3560. Then silver, basically within range, making equal highs, equal lows. This is a great setup for a breakout, a failure in breakout. Copper, it is of this low of this, basically this doji reversal, move to the upside, taking out previous highs. So 452 initial target. Then we have here Bitcoin that is also just in range, looking for direction. I'm gonna favor that it's gonna do a breakout. The euro also just sustaining itself north of 116. Let's see if it'll be able to climb up and reach 117 today. Then we have the pound that is also in this hour recovering from a lower fluctuation. But if, as you notice, this area of 134 to 50-ish has been rejected several times. So it has found a bottom here and is getting ready now to make an attempt to 135. Well, all of that will happen as we see that the dollar index continues to decline. As we see that the dollar index continues to make lower lows, we'll see a push to the upside on the metals and the currencies. Now that I sense the direction of the market, now I'm gonna break it down to a 5-minute chart, and from here, I'm gonna turn on my fractals, and I'm gonna turn on my VWAP. Now VWAP is the volume weighted average price, meaning that's the blue line that we see here. So that volume weighted average price is given by the amount of traders that have come towards this level and either have bought or has sold. So in this scenario, market came towards the VWAP, found support, and it ran to the upper band. From here, sellers came in, found support, it sustained the market, but sellers came in, fluctuated, and as the market fluctuated to the downside, the VWAP was attracting or acting as a dynamic or as a sort of a magnet for prices, and it was rejected once, twice, three, four, 5 times, and from here it continued to move lower. So now the lower band is our dynamic level of support. So the direction so far is to the downside. So intraday in this 5-minute candle that we have here, we should be able to identify a possible entry to the downside if this candle closes below this level that has been rejected twice before. So from this level, depending on where this candle closes and the next one opens, all right, so it opened gap down, all right, and it's basically closed with that fluctuation. Now, this could mean that the market will continue to push lower, right? Or this could mean an entry long towards the VWAP. But first, it needs to penetrate the scenario. So if you were to take a entry long here, and you have the target being the VWAP, and you have basically you're looking at a 2-to-1 ratio, so 750 pips to the downside as your stop loss, or looking to make 1,336 to the upside. So That's here the trajectory that we're anticipating. Let's see if the market will continue to push higher, but we want to be able to see that this candle can penetrate this will be level of resistance for this trade to continue to be profitable. So let's see if that will be the case in this particular candle. We still have 3 minutes and 43 seconds left on this candle. Let's see where the direction of the market will take us back to the VWAP. And that will be the direction or the assessment that I'm taking from here. Now, we still have, when the market opens in about 4 minutes, there's going to be a lot of noise. So volatility will come in. But we can come and contemplate the idea that the market will make a push higher since there is sentiment for the markets to continue this rally. The market are being resilient. Okay, so let's see if the market will be able to give us a push to the upside in about 3 minutes when the bell rings in this particular trade. Let me take a look at the S&P real quick, and we'll come back to this one real quick. So in the S&P, the market didn't even fluctuate below the lower band. It is basically idling, waiting for the bell, and the direction will be likely to the upside. Dow is actually above the VWAP, so we're looking for that momentum to the upside. RSI is speaking higher. Crude oil with this long wick, that's an indication that there is a strong momentum to the upside. A lot of buyers coming in here. So this all along the wicks showing us profit taking. So let's see if it'll be able to sustain itself and looking to continue to push higher. Nat gas in this 5-minute chart, it is fluctuating to the downside. The VWAP was rejected, so let's see if it'll come back and test it again. Alright, gold, a nice move from the upside. It fluctuated below the VWAP, but it closed above the VWAP. That would have been an entry right there to the upside, target the upper band. Now the market fluctuation to the upside is being reserved. So we have here silver. So silver is also moving to the upside, looking to take out this previous high. That's the next one to be taken out. Well, actually this one, but the highest one is that one. So looking to go along silver again. Copper, momentum to the upside. Nice move to the upside. Parabolic movement above the VWAP. Bitcoin fluctuates to the downside. Let's see if it'll continue, because it did push higher. Now it retraced. Let's see if it's holding here and it's gonna make another leg up. The currencies, the euro, picking its head above the VWAP. In this case, if this candle closes above the VWAP, looking to go long. Initially, target will be the upper band actually. So let's see where it closes in about 20 seconds. We should be opening in about 15 seconds. The market should be opening in a few minutes from here. Nasdaq should be rallying, and it is. So that initial trade that we placed on Nasdaq, we basically hit it. All right, so we hear the bell. Market has opened, and fluctuation. Let's see. We want to be able to obviously to cross, as we cross the VWAP, and we see that the momentum is being pushed higher, and it didn't. I mean, we were right there at our take profit, whether you took it or not. But this trade is done because the market. This is what I'm saying about the initial bell opening. You want to let the market just settle. So let's see if in this particular case we want to wait at least 15 minutes for the market to settle. Let's take a look at other assets. All right, so crude oil is looking looking to give me a a trade here. Now I'm gonna use basically this swing low, this previous swing low, as my stop, and looking for a push to the upside, looking to the long, and my target is the BWAP. So let's see how well this trade goes. Initial target 63,600, and we see that push higher. You see that push higher on crude oil. Let's see how much more of an upswing do we get from this entry. So we hit that 63,600 initially. So that initial target is met. Next target, I'm looking towards my left and looking at trying to identify swing highs. So this fractal high will be the next target, but obviously you could also go by psychological values, 365 for example. Now the market seems to be retracing, profit taking, repositioning of newcomers. So let's see if that was the push to the upside so far for today, because there was a little bit of a previous level of resistance here, but we want the market obviously to just fluctuate above that. And so let's see if that's the case. RSI is speaking about 50, so implying that the momentum to the upside is building. So let's just take a look and see where this candle will finish closing in about 2 minutes. It's still pushing higher. Let's go and look at other assets and see what we can come and contemplate. So the overall idea for nat gas is to sell. It has made quite a roof here. So looking for momentum to opportunity to enter short. So in this particular candle, as the market continues to fluctuate to the downside, we want to wait and see what will happen when it hits this lower band. If it'll reverse or if it will penetrate it and then do a pullback towards it and then continue its move lower. So basically, let's see if it'll do something like this. Come, fluctuate above it, then come back down again, then come towards it, and then do something like this. We're looking to sell. So let's see what will happen. All right, gold. So gold here has just basically bounce off the upper band of the BWAP. Okay. As you see, I'm not using any trend lines. It comes to a point where you don't need to use trend lines unless you're doing scalping. But in this scenario, I'm not using any trend lines. But we could. But we're in a 5-minute candle, so no use for using trend lines. Let's take a look at them. All right, so this trade on Nasdaq is basically done, right? So that's that. I don't know. Actually, we had the on crude oil. Let's see where this candle will close. We want to be able to see if it's going to have enough momentum to the upside. Actually, Nasdaq is putting pressure on this asset, so I'm going to speculate that it's going to reverse. So this would have been taken out. I'm going to stop that trade. Nat gas showing us a direction. Gold pushing higher. So 3560 initially is that target. Okay. Silver, just wide movements. Copper. All right, so copper. My entry will be a reversal of the VWAP if we decide to trade low, which is right about 450 psychological level of support. So let's see if this candle will push lower, right? and then gave me that entry at 450. Now this candle could also just stay here and just make another high, equal highs, equal lows. Another great setup for a possible breakout or breakdown. But I'm going to, since the previous direction of the market is to the upside, I'm going to favor a breakout. So we want to be able to basically break out of this range that the market is in. So as the market, if the market is below this particular level, I could enter it short, and my target will be that'd be a very small trade. My target will be 450, and from here, speculating that the market will reverse, do a reversal, and then go long, and my target will be those highs, and initially, obviously, the upper band. But I want to be able to see that the market will either, what will the market give me? Will the market give me an entry long or entry short? Now, for an entry short, what I will want to see is that the market actually fluctuates to the downside, but you see it's not. So, and I still have 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So let's move to the upside. It's flipping to the upside. So let's see if within this range the market will do something like this, do a pullback, then do something like this, which is basically doing so far. So what will you want to do? Will you want to go long now and be able to follow this trend or this path, or will you want to wait for confirmation that the market has made, say that high, done that pullback, right, into basically the pullback you want to see that is somewhere around this level, right? That pullback, and from here entering long. Now, once this happens, you enter long, and the market fluctuates above this zone, and if it does a throwback to what will be support, and then enter long, or add to your position, see if you have entered somewhere around here. But we still have some time to go, and on this trade, so copper. So let's say, for example, that we actually do. But let's see what this candle will do in 1 minute and 15 seconds. I'm going to speculate. The market is basically doing this right now. So let's see. I'm going to make that entry there, and my stop will be this previous low. So I entered because the market did a pullback towards that particular level that we spoke about. This double top, if you want to call it, where this candle closed and this one open. Let's see. We already had one kind of a winner trade there with crude oil. All right, so Bitcoin fluctuated to the downside. Bitcoin moved by thousands, so be careful. But because if it does continue to move lower, target, or I'm speculating that it could come and find some support around 110,500 or just fractal low. So that's a strong one to the downside. All right, so we have here the euro fluctuated to the upside, target the upper band. Then we have the pound outside of the band, so fluctuation is strong. Did a breakout, equal highs, equal lows, breakout. So momentum to the upside is build. So 145.50 is target, and we want to be able to see this dollar index continue to decline, retrace deeper, so we have a nice push to the upside on other assets. All right, on this Nasdaq trade, push to the upside, it hit our first level of resistance, that was our target, and then just fluctuating lower. Also the same thing for the S&P. Dow push higher, so we were talking about going long the assets, the indices. Crude oil. So crude oil gave us that particular move to the upside on the VWAP, right? And that would have been a nice trade. All right, so here we have nat gas showing us our path of direction. So let's say, for example, we do enter a position short now. Okay, what will be your target? $3 psychological, and your stop. Well, your stop, let's just make that swing high our stop. So we're entering a short position on that gas. Gold almost hit 560. Silver is pushing lower. So let's see what will happen. Copper. So our copper trade is basically there. So it's doing that pullback. It did that pullback here. So let's see how much more to the upside will it move. Bitcoin continue to push lower. Then we have the euro. So bouncing off the VWAP. See, bouncing off the VWAP. I mean, this would have been a great entry long if it wasn't that the dollar index is appreciating, it's moving higher, so it's putting pressure on the currencies. And then we have the pound also above the band, and we have here the dollar index. It up and gap down, it's close, but the momentum is big, it's building up to the upside. That'll put pressure obviously on our currencies, as you see here. You see dollar index pushing higher, currency pushing lower, correlation, inverted correlation there also for this. The metals as well. I mean, gold just continue to push lower, and it's rejecting this area. So let's see if that's enough of profit taking for it. Let's take a look at silver, copper. So that trade here is about to be taken out and stop because of the appreciation of the pressure that dollar index put on the asset. So let's take that out. That was a bad trade. There we have one good one, one bad one. All right. Let's go back to NASDAQ. Very wild swings. So we've created a range so far in this 15 minutes. They did a swing high and they did a swing low, right? So from here, we want to be able to see opportunities. Let's say, for example, this candle happens to close above the VWAP, then that will give me a direction to the upside on the VWAP. Then we have the S&P continue to push, looking to go higher. It's rebounding off the band, of the upper band. That's positive right there. Well, take a look at the Dow. It's pushing higher, 45,400 is our initial target. That's most likely will be met. Then we have crude oil bouncing, just trading within the VWAP and pushing to go higher. So this particular trade for nat gas is there. We're still in the trade because we're looking to hit $3. So let's see what will happen in $3. Then we have gold making that high, pushing up lower. Target if you decide to go short would be the VWAP. Ooh, silver just continued to tank, and copper just went the other direction. Bitcoin pushing lower. The euro the same, pound the same, dollar index just waiting there. So back to the NASDAQ, push to the upside. Then we have the S&P that is retracing. So let's see how much more of a push to the upside can we see. All right. Dow, same token. We have here the crude oil, and we have nat gas. So nat gas trade is giving us a profit, pushing lower, pushing lower, pushing lower, pushing lower. So we have that nat gas trade, and it took us out with a profit. So that's a profitable trade there. So that's our third trade actually. So we have two winners and one loser trades today. Then we have here gold and silver just tanking. So selling copper, bounce off the VWAP. Bitcoin continue to move lower. The euro bouncing off the VWAP. And then we have the pound trying to sustain itself north of that. Our index sustaining itself. Then we have here again the indices within the range. Okay, so let's see what will happen now. And we still have 3 minutes left on this chat. So let's see what will happen if we are able to continue our levels. We want obviously half an hour to go by and just give us a sense of what direction to take. So we're taking that direction to the upside for the Nasdaq, being bullish again for the Nasdaq. Then we have here a nice move to the upside on the indices. Dow retracing. Let's see if they'll find reversal on the upper band. And then crude oil hinting to recover and push higher above the VWAP or towards the VWAP. Nat gas, if we trade below $3, give out a trade. So now it's tracing, taking. Gold rejected the VWAP. So let's see if that's a long entry. Silver just continues to fluctuate lower. This is a strong move to the downside for silver. Copper most likely will follow suit. So find support somewhere at 450. Let's see, 450 is actually that's 450. Good. So let's see if we don't find support at 459, 449. Then we have Bitcoin that is tanking as well. So 110,000 is psychological. Euro sustaining above the VWAP, and the pound also sustaining above the upper band. Dollar index, we want to break down on dollar index, see what will happen. Then again, last. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. This is it for the first hour, 50 minutes of trading, and the session is now concluded. Thank you for participating, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time, half an hour prior to the US session open, so we can continue to identify trades and make money. Thank you for watching.